Education is the most powerful ally of humanism, and every American public school is a school of humanism. What can the theistic Sunday schools, meeting for an hour once a week and teaching only a fraction of the children, do to stem the tide of a 5-day program of humanistic teaching? Charles Francis Potter. Religion is practiced in many ways by various cultures around the world. Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism. These religions are easily recognized by their beliefs and philosophies of life. Yet there is one religion that is not easily defined, hidden behind terms such as theological atheism, philosophical naturalism, biological spontaneous generation or evolution, moral relativism, legal positivism, and political globalism. That religion is secular humanism.
Secular humanism has played a powerful role in our public life, and particularly in education.
Secular humanism starts with the assumption that there is no God.
I've examined whether God exists. I've examined the revelation of the Bible, and I don't think the case has been made.
There is religion in the classroom. It's just not the Christian religion.
Many people view secular humanism as mere fiction, dreamed up by the religious right. But it is not fiction, nor a dream, but very, very real. As we will see, secular humanists are quite open about their belief system and their goals. Books like the Humanist Manifesto 1 and 2, and publications like Free Inquiry and The Humanist openly proclaim the secular humanist position. The evidence will clearly show that secular humanism is not only a well-developed worldview, but it is also the predominant worldview that many educators, intellectuals, and leaders throughout the world today believe and openly promote. But even more interesting is that secular humanism is in fact a religion, and one that has become the dominant religious worldview taught in our universities and public schools today. For example, under the guise of being value neutral, students are taught moral relativism, which assumes that there is no God and no moral absolutes. They are taught evolution, which is really atheistic evolution, assuming there is no creator. Even in some of our most cherished historical documents, like the Mayflower Compact, the words God and Christ have been deleted in many textbooks, which make it impossible for students to know that the Pilgrim's purpose in coming here was to glorify God and advance the Christian faith. Ironically, the wall of separation between church and state has, in reality, effectively established secular humanism as the official religion of America's public schools.
America has moved from its Christian heritage to what Francis Schaeffer referred to as a post-Christian state. To better understand this cultural shift towards secularism, it is necessary to examine history, specifically the events that occurred under the influential leadership of Thomas Huxley in late 19th century England. Under Huxley, several small groups of scientists and scholars organized to overthrow the intellectual dominance of the Anglican Church, ultimately hoping to undermine the cultural dominance of Christianity. By replacing the Christian worldview with scientific naturalism, they hoped to secularize society, ultimately replacing one religion with another, the religion of secular humanism.
The early Darwinists realized very clearly that it wasn't just a matter of finding certain data and coming to certain conclusions, but that, in fact, they were involved in a culture war, what we today call a culture war.
As this cultural shift gained momentum in England, America became infected. During that time, the American educational establishment gradually turned its back on Christianity, bringing about a tide of anti-Christian sentiment that has swelled in modern times.
In our day, I don't think that naturalistic scientists feel that they have a great institutional battle to win. They have won. They have won. The secularization of our schools is virtually complete, and the churches are on the sidelines of society.
Our Christian young people are moving into our high schools, our government schools, which we call public schools today, and finding that their Christian faith is under attack more and more. And once you begin to look behind the scenes to see why this is so, it becomes rather obvious. They are not being confronted just with an education. They are being confronted with various aspects of a religious worldview. And that religious worldview we have identified, and the name of it is no secret. The name of it, even though some have referred to it as a boogeyman, is secular humanism.
The beliefs of secular humanism are widespread in America today, estimated to be the moral conviction of about 11% of the population. Most do not claim to be secular humanists and do not belong to a secular humanist organization, yet they hold to the basic beliefs of the secular humanist worldview. In his essay, Religious Freedom and the Challenge of Modern Pluralism, sociologist James Davison Hunter notes that most scholars recognize the secular character of public life and the fact that there is a growing constituency who favor these circumstances. One could argue quite plausibly that secular humanism has become the dominant moral ideology of American public culture, and now plays much the same role as the pan-Protestant ideology played in the 19th century.
This is really at the heart of the ideology that created what I have called the naked public square, a public square that is completely devoid of any religious referent or of any moral reference that is grounded in religion.
We have a public discourse having to do with politics and the moral life of people without any reference to God. Somehow or other God has been taken away from just ordinary common discussion of our country's problems.
As secular humanism has gradually gained influence over American culture, its champions have almost unanimously described themselves as promoters of a new religion, a religion more highly evolved than, as John Dunphy called it, the rotting corpse of Christianity. What makes secular humanism a religion? If religion is defined in such a way that it must include belief in a God, then secular humanism would not be a religion. But then neither would Buddhism or Confucianism. On the other hand, a proper definition of religion that includes Buddhism and Confucianism would necessarily include secular humanism.
They try to argue that because secular humanism is non-theistic, it's atheistic or agnostic, they don't acknowledge the existence of a supreme being, they have no reference to deity, no transcendent beings ruling our lives or anything like that. Since that is the case, they try to say because they are atheistic, they're therefore not religious in character.
There are generally two approaches to defining religion: the substantive approach, which focuses on the content of the belief, and the functional approach, which focuses on what the belief system does for the individual or the community. As America has become more diverse, her courts have gradually adopted the functional definition of religion. The U.S. Supreme Court has progressed from a substantive understanding to a functional understanding.